judgy much? Do other people's flaws drive you crazy? Do you just want to tell them how they should behave and how they should talk? We're having a conversation today about judgment through Gene Key 18 and the Sabian Symbols Libra 5 through 10. I'm so excited to be here with Margaret Miller. Margaret, can you tell us more about this? Let's
Oh, Julia, I love this. Yes, let's talk about this the energy of this week, right? This is what we're doing here is trying to find ways to work with the energy that the current gene key is shining on, right? The sun is shining on this particular energy, and it's the energy of judgment. And the gift, that's the shadow of judgment, and the gift of integrity, and the Siddhi of Perfection. And so I am loving this energy of being playful with it because, judgment is really hard for us to deal with, right? And the energy of it is causes us, it's looking for flaws. It's our mind looking for the mistakes, looking for the flaws, looking for what's wrong all the time, what's wrong with us and what's wrong with everybody else. And so we have to have a little bit, I think, of lightness and humor to deal with that, because what happens when we're in judgment is that our heart closes up, right? Our mind freezes and are into a set pattern, that wants to put everything to pigeonhole everything, right? And and our heart closes. And when that happens, there's no possibility for actually seeing what's really occurring or seeing things um, clearly. And in order for us to move out of that, and to come into integrity, we have to be able to adopt a compassionate heart, right? We have to have compassion for ourselves and for each other. And when we do that, when we're looking through a more compassionate lens, then we can act and respond with integrity, because we may still have those judgments, but we're not pointing at them at someone, or we're not internalizing them. And because when we look at somebody else, you've heard this before. We've talked about it. When you point a finger at someone, there's always three fingers pointing back at yourself, and that's always a good reminder, right, to come back into integrity and to come into our hearts and have compassion for other people's flaws and compassion for our own flaws, and recognize that, this it's kind of strange, right? We have the from judgment to perfection here. But if we jump all the way to that city, we realize that everything is perfect just the way it is, right? Everything is perfect as it is. There is perfection in the universe. There is perfection in our lives. We are perfect as we are, right? But in order to get there, to get to that kind of awareness, we have to be able to lift ourselves up out of that deep, dark, feedback loop of judgment. And integrity happens, right? Integrity exists in us naturally. Like we learned how to judge. And that integrity is that coming from our heart center and being able to look at our own flaws and look at each, accept responsibility for our own flaws, and to look at other people, even if we're seeing those flaws or those errors or those mistakes or whatever it is that we're judging about the other person, and and just recognize that that's part of being human. That if it's causing us distress, then those three fingers are pointing back at us, and we're judging that inside of ourselves as well, right? And so opening our hearts and allowing that integrity to just flow through us. So when we are able to come more from a witness place, right? When we're able to step into the witness and out of our judgy self, right? Then we can respond to people with integrity. We can respond to people with compassion and with love. And the more that we're able to do that, the more that we're able to look through that lens of compassion, then the more that we recognize that people are just perfect just the way they are, right? That their flaws are beautiful, and that we can laugh at ourselves, and we can, laugh with each other rather than at each other. And what a beautiful what a beautiful skill to have. What a beautiful way to work in the world and to live in the world, and it's not getting rid of our judgments as much as it is working with them and taking responsibility for our own judgments, and recognizing that inherent in this is the that siddhi of perfection. Everything really truly is perfect as it is, and I'm perfect as I am, and you are perfect as you are. Something changes, right? Something changes in our awareness. So I want to look at the Sabian symbols that are associated with this really quickly, and see what comes out of that as well. So we have Libra 5 is the first one, a man teaching the true inner knowledge. Libra has the scales as its symbol, right? And the scales of justice. Okay. So it has to do with judgment, right? But it has to do with balanced discrimination, like being able to see the true from the false, right? And being able to, recognize uh, our own flaws. And it's an energy of Libra has lightheartedness in it, and it has looking for balance, looking for both sides of the story, right? It's a beautiful energy, learning, like wanting to learn about things, and being able to understand uh, people and situations and things from both perspectives. And the reason that is a Libra quality is that Libra also, naturally rules the house of relationships. And so in order to have, good relationships, we have to be able to manage our judgments. We have to be able to, come into a balanced perspective. And so I think that it's good to just bring that in right away. And then let's talk about now Libra 5. So a man teaching the true inner knowledge. It's a transmission of essence, right? And this, I got those particular words from James Burgess's website. And it's basically about teaching or leading through example, right? And that's how we come into integrity. That was one of the things I was kind of searching for as I was speaking about it, is that's how we demonstrate integrity is by taking responsibility for our judgments, and coming from that witness position and teaching through example, or leading through example, right? So then Libra 6, the ideals of man are abundantly crystallized. Okay, so that's Libra 6. And this is visualization. This is, we tend to get what we focus on, what we focus our attention on. Right? Which also has a great amount to say about our judgments. Like, because our mind is so trained to look for flaws, we're going to see them. We're going to see what's wrong with everything. And so we have to train our mind to look for the best possible outcomes. Look for what's good in everything. And the more that we look for those things, the more that we're going to see them. And the less judgmental we're going to be because we're retraining our minds in that instance, right? To look for that inner wisdom, to look for the good in everything and the good in everyone. Now, we still have to have that judgment, right? So judgment doesn't have to be a shadow, right? That because we're still going to carry that judgment into so that we can tell if the person or the situation is wrong for us, right? Like that, like we don't want to be in that situation. We still have to have that perception, but we're not going to crystallize these negative circumstances and events and people and interactions as much if we're looking for the good rather than looking for the flaws. Okay, so that's Libra 6. Libra 7, a woman feeding chickens and protecting them from hawks. Okay, so this is taking responsibility for what's in our care, recognizing that that nature has its own integrity. And but if something, the chickens, for instance, are in our care, then we have to take responsibility for that and make sure they're safe from the hawks, right? But it's also taking responsibility for ourselves, for what's in our care. It's our own hearts and our own minds and our own beingness that is ours to care for. And so it really also does speak to that, bringing ourselves into integrity through not judging ourselves so harshly. Because if we don't judge ourselves as harshly, we're not going to judge other people harshly. And it's not about settling for less. It's not about settling for less. Like you'd kind of construe that to mean that we are settling for less, but it means that we strive for that perfection. We strive for perfecting something, right? And we do that through our own example rather than our expectation of somebody else, um, you know, being perfect. So this shows up, it's a Libra thing, right? It shows up in relationship, right? We want our partners to not do that thing that makes us crazy, but really it's us. It's our taking responsibility for our own reactions. So Libra 8, a blazing fireplace in a deserted home. And the symbolism of this has to do with the idea that there is invisible support. Like there is help, that support is guaranteed. It's just not always visible. And I think about this as when I'm thinking about the gene key and trying to weave that together, I think about integrity. And I think about how if we are acting with compassion and with integrity, then we do have this invisible support. It's when we are in judgment of ourselves or others that it seems like that support isn't there, even though it really still is. It's just that we've closed ourselves off. We've closed our heart off through that judgment, right? And so we don't feel that support. We don't feel that warmth of that fireplace. Okay. So Libra 9, three old masters or masterpieces hanging in an art gallery. Okay. And so this is about the chain of transmission. And it's sort of like higher knowledge or higher states of being are passed down from teacher to student who becomes the teacher who then passes on to the student. And it's changed, it evolves. It's an evolving wisdom that's passed down because it comes through the filters of the new generation or the new teacher, but it's still valuable, right? Because it has to be expressed in a way that's understood by the current students. And but you can see the essence of it and you can feel the essence of it in that, in that symbol of the old masters hanging in an art gallery, right? You can see it can still be appreciated even if it's appreciated through new lenses, right? And so that could be, we might judge, we might have judgments of something that seems old or archaic to us, that's out of fashion or out of date. But if we are looking with integrity, we will be able to see the value and what the wisdom is that's there.
This wisdom really brings a sense of ease within me. It really feels lighter, like a lightness of being, to not hold on to that intense judgment of myself and what's going on in the world around me. So thank you very much, Margaret.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, that would be my that would be the takeaway that I hope that people get from this is that really, looking at how harshly we judge ourselves, uh, gives us an indication of how harshly we judge our circumstances and how harshly we can judge other people. And, if we can lighten up a little bit in that and really come into that integrity that existed within us as children, right? Richard Rudd talks about this in this Gene Key a lot, that we didn't have this horrible judgment mentality when we were young, when we were little, that it developed in our teenage years and it's, got reinforced and reinforced. So coming back to the integrity of and the innocence of childhood and being able to look through the eyes of love, through the eyes of compassion at ourselves and each other. And certainly if we can laugh at ourselves and
Yeah.
laugh at,
So the
yeah.
next time we start these mental patterns, we can just remember to say to ourselves, judgy much? Judgy much? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.